Hi y'all, welcome to the Big Mike experience. I know you're wondering why am I shitting in the dark at night time? The smoke is looking like I'm in my nightie, no makeup. Well, because I'll be spilling some intimate tea. I'm going to be having a very uncensored version where I'll be talking to you guys about something that I learned on my healing journey that I feel like someone else might be able to benefit from. I've talked about narcissists a lot. I've talked about my covert narcissist ex-boyfriend, but there's some things that I haven't yet addressed because it was things I still had to first admit to myself. Well, anyways, this one is going to be me giving you guys the tea. I'm going to be very, very intimate with y'all. So if you want to hear this tea, stick around, subscribe, like the video, and let's get right into it. Now, as you can see, I've got my tea, I got some snacks, and don't worry, I'm not on fire. I've got incense burning because we have to make sure that the energy is right, okay? Because we're going to be talking about some real fucked up shit that I went through, and the red flags I definitely ignored that I should have actually listened to when I was in this relationship. And I hope that this also helps someone else out there who may be ignoring these same red flags and get your shit right. Don't be like me, okay? So first, I'm going to give you a background story about this particular ex. Now, this wasn't someone I just met. This was someone I had known since we were really young. I'm talking pre-teens, back then, church, when we used to do this Easter camp thing where teenagers and the youth will be on camp and just, from different parishes and what have you, come together. So one of those, I think, bonfire nights, the final bonfire night before we go home the next day, I met him through his elder sister. And this was someone who had protected me on camp against some people that were bullying me because of the size of my chesticles. I've always had big chesticles, and people used to make me try to feel bad about it. And just because I was kind of quiet when I was younger, people just thought it was fun to bully me. Yeah, I used to get bullied, I know, but that's not what we're here about today. Anyway, that's how I met this person. He was obviously younger than me, and as time progressed, we lost touch, even though, okay, then when social media came, Facebook, I know he added me, but we never still saw until, I think the year was 2018, either late 2017 or early 2018. I went to some lounge with a friend of mine and happened to run into him and a friend of his. And it was like one of those reunion type things. And, he couldn't, right there on the spot, he was telling me how he's always had a crush on me. Because there was a period where we went to the same high school, but we kind of missed each other by one term. Like the last time I was there, he came in the term afterwards. So we never really went in the same school at the same time. So he was always talking about how, he was looking forward to seeing me in that high school, but I had left, and he's always had a crush on me. And keep in mind, this boy was always cute, when we were young and everything. And even as an adult, he wasn't so bad. Granted, he had put on some extra weight, but it wasn't so bad. He still looked kind of cute and put together and everything. And smooth talker, But during that period, I was in my whole phase. I was not looking to date. I wasn't looking for anything serious. I just wanted to have a good time, basically. And we started, talking. We exchanged numbers, because I remember that day him and his friend dropped me and my friend back at our place, and we kept in touch. And I think maybe a month or so later, we had a very, very short fling. And I remember in between the fling, he actually said the 3-letter words. I thought he was just, because we'd been drinking and, blowing trees. I just thought it was one of those things in the moment. So I didn't take it. I never brought it up. I ignored it entirely. And then after a while, because I wasn't looking for anything, of course, so we kind of drifted apart. I didn't hear from him again. And then I think I even went ahead to maybe date someone else. But it was a really short relationship. But it wasn't one of those serious relationships. So I kind of lost touch with him. But from social media, I saw that he had gotten married. Okay. Now, let me go back a bit. This time when we reconnected, he had just finalized his divorce from his first marriage. Follow me. And make sure you follow me so you can also notice some of the red flags that were very obvious, but I kind of like ignored. I have a list of the red flags. We'll definitely go through them at the end of this quick story, so that you can see how I wouldn't say intentionally, ignore them, but you can see how it was so easy for me to ignore them. Anyway, so of course, if someone just tells you that they just got out of a divorce, you're not thinking that they're looking for something serious. You understand? So I was shocked that within a year he was already remarried. I'm like, hey, shit happens. I was happy for him. Now, like years, into the marriage, I don't know how we reconnected again. I think he messaged me on Facebook or something, and then he told me, he asked where I was staying. At this time, I was staying on the mainland in Lagos, and he was like, oh, and he was staying on the island in Lagos, but he said he came for some meeting on the mainland. I would like to come, just see me, catch up on what have you. Brought me lunch, we're catching up and everything. Keep in mind he's married at this time, and he started talking about trying to reminisce about that day and everything. I was like, oh, so you knew what you said? He said, yeah, that he meant it, that in fact he had even told his wife about me. That's another, are you marking all the red flags? And I'm like, okay, that's weird, why, and then even when we got talking, he also mentioned the fact that she doesn't trust him because he had cheated on her twice. And I was like, why did you? And he said, well, he did it just because he could, because there was nothing else lacking in the relationship. She loves him, sex is good, everything, but he just did it just because he could, and he knows he was being selfish. And I'm like, that doesn't make sense. But the way he kind of painted it as if maybe there was more to it I didn't understand. So I really didn't push it. I wasn't trying to push it. It was none of my business. And then I remember we were trying to do like some business. I wasn't even trying to he's a married man. It was like I used to do. But he then ghosted on me. I just maybe felt because I know he told his wife he came to see me. So maybe it was one of those, if you ever go see her again type shit. I mean, if you ghost me, good luck. You get. So I never reached out to him, nothing. Fast forward to 2024 September. I'd not heard from this guy since I think 2023. Yeah, that was the early 2023 was the last time I heard from him. Then 2024 September, he messages me under one of my old videos that I didn't forgotten that I still had his number. I was sending broadcasts. Then I used to do like a lot of videos on narcissism and whatnot. And me, this was born out of friendships. There was even none that had to do with relationship at this point. It was just narcissistic people that I had befriended. And I was just trying to warn people, be careful and all of that. And he messaged me under one of those videos about narcissists, how to spot a narcissist. I remember that was the video. And was like, oh my God, I have experienced this. Oh, we need to talk about this. And then we jump, I'm like, oh, longest time, how you doing? Then we jump on a call. And he starts to tell me how, he's divorced again, that his ex-wife is a narcissist. And then we're having this very long conversation about it. So we're having this long conversation about it. He's telling me how his ex-wife was a narcissist and the things he had gone through, that he's divorcing her and everything, that they're going through a divorce, they're officially separated and what have you. It's just going through the process in the courts and all of that. And it was like that, he would really like to come see me and we should have a conversation and blah 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 blah. And I was like, okay, to come through the next day, because he wanted to come that night. I was like, nah, it's too late, come the next day. Now, remember, I said this one I've noticed with kids. So there was a level of trust I already had with him. And because we had that fling thing in the past, and because he knew how to play the victim so well, I never saw him as a bad person. I know it sounds crazy, even with things I've said so far. I still never saw him as a bad person. Maybe I was intentionally ignoring the red flags. I don't know. Maybe I was subconsciously, I don't know. But I just didn't see him as a bad person, which was my undoing, which was my fault. And I take full accountability for wearing my rose-colored glasses and getting involved with this person. I'm having myself some hibiscus and clove tea with a dash of lime juice. It's beautiful. Anyways, back to the story. So the next day he comes over, I remember he asked me what should he bring. I was like, oh, I'm out of coffee and milk. I won't mind if you get some on your way. He brings me this really big, that big Nescafe, the really big bottle. He brings me a a big tin of milk. I'm like, oh, so sweet, He's being all gentlemanly. He's, talking to me, telling me all how he's missed me. And maybe during this period, if I'm going to be honest with you, I had been by myself for a minute. I had just gotten over someone I had been dealing with, because at this point in my life, I started to be more open to like dating. And apparently, when you've been off the dating scene for so long, you might not really get it right the first few times. And for me, that was what was happening. So I think I felt like relieved that I had like a friend that was, interested in me, and he was saying all the right things. He was saying all the right things. From this to second marriage, he had kids, 2 kids. They were still quite young. So when I was just listing out the things I wanted, because it was like he wants to be with me, even though the divorce is not final and everything, but he would like to, us to grow together, and he meant what he said about loving me and yada yada yada. And I don't know, it just, those words, when you're being love bombed, it's just so nice. It's just so nice. You actually feel like, yes, this is how I should be treated. No, that's how the traumatized you wants to be treated. Anyways, I digress. So he just kept talking about, how he wants to be with me, this, that, and third, yada, yada, yada. And he was literally saying everything I wanted to hear. Oh, I already have kids, so you don't want kids, so we don't need to have any more kids, stuff and stuff and stuff. And from that day on, I was like, all right, let's see how it, it goes. And we start hanging out almost every day. We're talking all the time. The first couple of times I went to he made sure he booked me an Uber. He would make sure that I get there. He said he ordered ribs and God knows what, because apparently he didn't know how to cook. His ex-wife was the one that used to know how to cook. And every time I tried to okay, so what really happened? He was like, well, he just woke up one day and she had taken the kids, and left the house. That he had been begging her to leave. She had been threatening him with leaving. He had been begging her to leave. She wanted to, that she stopped stressing him, and then she finally did this and that one. And within a short period of time, this guy was introducing me to his parents. Yes, I mean, when you're young, then you don't really know everybody's parents. You just know them from afar. But taking me to his parents' house, I'm meeting his mom, his dad, but here's one thing. He kept saying that we shouldn't tell other people that we're in a relationship. Now, this is the part where I'm going to jump into the red flags so that I can continue the story with giving you examples of the red flags and how I ignored them. Are you ready for this? You better be. So the first red flag was mirroring. Oh my God, that guy mirrored me to the core. Everything I said I liked, he liked. Everything I said I wanted, he wanted. Every single thing. It was like, oh, we're so on sync, we're so in rhythm. It wasn't a thing where he had his own thoughts. He just knew exactly what to say. And it sounded so good to me. I'm like, oh, maybe I've overlooked this guy all these years. Maybe this is the person I should have been with. This feels so right. But keep in mind, there was this nagging feeling still, the gut feeling, something don't feel right, but I couldn't see it, because that's the thing about covert narcissists. They know how to, it's in the word covert. They are hiding it. So you have to really, really understand the pattern to see what's going on. So that was red flag number one. He mirrored me every way possible, even to the point of me doing music. He talked about how he's always wanted to do music. He used to sing. He even showed me some old YouTube video of him dancing, singing, trying to let me know how it's always been something he wanted to. Maybe we could do it together. And here I was already building an empire in my fucking mind. Yeah, he did that. Alright, so the second red flag was love bombing. Ooh, he was good with that shit. He was good. He's smooth with the words because he's in the legal field, so he knows how to use all the right words, to really sweet talk me. He was so smooth with it, even with the spending, at the beginning of it, until I started spending. Woo! Yeah, he's still owing me 6K. until I started spending. Yeah, you do not want to know. Like, yeah, I'm not embarrassed. Am I don't know. But like, don't be like me, y'all. Do not be like me. Make sure you notice those red flags so that you don't end up spending on a man. Yes, I was once that chick. Never again. Yeah, never again. The love bombing though, like I shit you know, he was doing everything almost right. But there will always be like a fuck up somewhere that would make everything just kind of like, yeah. The gaslighting. Ooh, the gaslighting. That one was every other day. Was it the time I literally caught him about to cheat? And he lied about it and made it look as if I was overreacting, catching him at an important day for me with another woman. And he lied that, oh, he just met her. And no, he said no. He said he had known her, that she was a friend. But it was someone that let me know he just met her. They literally met that night. I don't even know what he said to her. I don't even know how they ended up in the backseat of his car. Yeah. But he gaslit me. In fact, that day extended into a longer issue, and I'll still get back to it because that's also another point that I had. That's like point 9, and we're still on the third one, so I don't want to, say too much on that yet. But the gaslighting, another part where he gaslit me was the day, everything finally ended, where he literally called me a narcissist. He said I was gaslighting him. And keep in mind, while he's saying all these things, he's shouting at me, he's calling me out my name, telling me all kinds of fuck you and what have you. Nothing happened. We never had a fight. He had tried to pick fights with me and I wasn't biting because I'm really not that kind of person. And then he got mad that I wasn't biting and then started to go on the offensive. And I was just confused, like, what the heck is going on? And I think I talked about this in one of my videos before, where I was like in the middle of me crying, confused. He had the guts to look at me and say, so are we going to go back to yours to go fuck? And I'm like, I'm in tears. I'm confused. What the fuck? What are you talking about? Yeah, that's how messed up it was. But that was the ending, Anyways, let's move on. Fourth red flag was the possessiveness. Keep in mind, this is someone that said he didn't want people to know we're dating because of the legal proceedings and what have you of the divorce, so that it doesn't affect the custody of the kids, blah, 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 blah. And I was fine with that because I was being very understanding as an empath, and the way he painted the whole situation and the fact that he called his ex-wife a narcissist, and I was like, man, I can imagine what you're going through and all of that. No problem. Let's keep it on the down low. I'm cool with that. Even though his parents knew, my mom knew, it was like known among the people that we thought were important, but outside people were not meant to know. Until I had to go for a studio session with someone I met through someone else, who happened to be, when we got there, because what happened is I told him I had a studio session, and this guy used to invite himself to anything that I was going to do by myself. Like, we're just having a conversation. It's like, oh, what are you doing tomorrow? Oh, I have this. And he's like, oh, that's when he told me about his dreams to do music. And he was like, oh, he'll drop me off, like, doesn't want me just going somewhere I'm not so used to and all of that he'll rather go with me and then just see how the process is. I'm like, I bet, let's go. And we get there, and as the universe will have it, he and the producer happened to be long lost friends who hadn't seen each other since they were kids. Which I felt like, oh, that is great. I mean, because I myself was just meeting the producer face to face for the first time. So it made me even feel more relaxed that, oh, okay, it's all love, it's all family and all of that. And he told me, was like, yeah, that, we should just be cool and not let the producer know. Now, as we got in there, me and the producer had already been chatting now because we're very friendly. We had the same kind of sense of humor. And I like being like that relaxed with whoever I'm working with so that it's not too... when you're creating, you don't want a very stuffy environment. You want to make sure that y'all are in sync and what have you. So we're just friendly, nothing outside of that. So when we got there, me and this producer, and we also had the commonality of our spirituality. Something we had talked about. So it was nice to like catch up on it, and talk about it. And I think he was watching the way we were bantering, and he started to get a little bit, I don't know, insecure, jealous, what have you. And he immediately started chiming in. He first tried to like take over. The way narcissists are now, they have to be performative. He was taking over. He was doing too much with trying to be funny and everything. And the next thing, someone that said that he didn't want nobody to know we're together, started insinuating and talking about how he's always had a crush on me, blah, blah, blah. He was being openly flirty, which was confusing me because I'm like, if you don't want people to know we're together, why are you doing this? It will be later I'll realize that he was threatened by the producer. He was threatened by the way the producer and I had that rapport. So he needed to, put some kind of claim to me. You understand? Just in case he thought the producer was moving to me, and I'm like, bruh. And that wasn't the only time he did that. He did that so many other times. Even one other time, he followed me the week before we ended everything. He followed me to somewhere where I had an MC job, and he told me when we get to there, he's like, there's a party. There are going to be other babes there. This one guys that let's just, act like we're friends. And I'm like, I bet. Maybe he thought girls would be all over him or something. I mean, come on, hello. Even without makeup, I'm not a slave. Them boys were all up in my business, and they said to like piss him off. He literally caught an attitude because they were giving me attention. And I'm like, what you said? Oh, so you didn't mean it? Okay. The fifth red flag was the silent treatment manipulation. Anybody that's ever dealt with a narcissist knows this is one, either covert, overt, malignant, all of them do this one. The silent treatment manipulation. Those with narcissistic traits and those that are narcissists, same difference. They all do it. And this was something he did in excess. It started from, I think, that same event where, they were all up in my business, and he gave me like a week of silence, and I'm like, man, you'll be fine. He tried to do it again, and I'm like, I'm not biting, boo. It doesn't work on me. Silent treatment does not work on me. Especially when I clock that's what you're doing to me. It doesn't work. And he noticed it each time that it didn't work on me. He'll be the one to come back and go like, I couldn't what? I would never chase after you, honey. That shit don't work on me. But even with that, I still made excuses for him, saying, well, he's gone through a lot. Maybe he's dealing with a lot. But then this motherfucker will be posting on social media. He's hanging out with friends. Guys, keep in mind, he's hanging out with guys, shirtless, chilling, and everything. Keep in mind why I said that, because there's a reason for it towards the end. But anyways, that didn't work on me, but I noticed it. The silent treatment manipulation. I'm sure a lot of us can relate to that. Where they will intentionally shut you out, be silent, not say anything, but they'll be doing activity with everybody else. Yeah, it's all part of it. It's all part of the game. I'm talking about games. The next three are all together. The mind games, the selfishness, the obvious lying. Those three go together. They always had to do mind games. I'm sorry. Number 68, they just always had to do mind games, which stems from selfishness. And even number 5 joins it with the silent treatment. It still stems from selfishness. And this selfishness point also comes down to even in the bedroom. There is no narcissist, and I've said this as someone who has dealt with a couple of narcissists intimately, not even in a dating sense. I'm talking even in just flings or what have you. They don't care about your pleasure. Your pleasure? No, darling, no. It's for their pleasure. They do not care. They tell you they're going to please you. If they do that at the beginning, it's to lock you in so you feel like, oh, you're always going to get the same level of pleasure. No, darling. It was a free trial. Once it's over, it's done with. Going forward, you are literally there for their pleasure. You're like a human dildo, a human sex toy that they just want to please themselves with. And then they don't have time. They really don't care. You know why? Because they are using that to take your energy. They don't care about your satisfaction. They're not connecting with your soul. They do not care that you have a soul because they are soulless themselves. They just want to be able to take your energy through your sacral energy, and energize themselves while leaving you weak, tired, and even like your beauty starts to reduce, your health, everything just starts to go to shit. But they're doing fine. They're doing great. That's where the selfishness comes in. And then the mind games of the whole, silent manipulation and the lies here and there for no apparent reason. Lies that don't make sense. Lies that can be avoidable. Oh no, they will do that every time. Alright. Now let's move on to the next red flag, which I ignored, that was actually very obvious. Now, this number 9 goes back to the gaslighting of point number 3. The addiction. Yeah. So, ever since I known this guy, I knew that at the time he schooled abroad and what have you. And he only just mentioned in passing that he he's done drugs before, with friends, but not anymore. The way someone just can tell you about their past. He said he's done it like, the way you just do it once. And I mean, some people do that. I don't know. I've never done drugs. It was never my thing. It still never will be. I don't even use normal drugs. I have stopped using drugs since 2022. I only do herbal stuff, and that's about it. Not like I'm talking like herbs, like I'm talking your, cloves, your cinnamon, your fennels, your hibiscus, herbs, basically. Things you grow in the ground is what I use. Sorry for the break in transmission. My memory got full, so I had to quickly delete some things. So I'm not going to waste time and I'm just going to rush through this one. So I was talking about the addiction. Anyways, on this day that I told you was so important to me, that I also caught him almost cheating. He decided to, because at this point I'm pissed, like, when I saw him in the backseat with the babe and everything, I'm like, yo, give me my shit in the car, let me get going. And he gaslit me, manipulated me, for me, let's just talk. I mean, I was just thinking, I'm like, that night I had not planned to use Uber. And when you don't plan to use Uber, once it's late night, Uber will start surging and you're looking at your pocket and you're like, see, I can't be giving Uber guy a handy just to get home. So I'm like, you know what, at least he'll get me home. Let me just get home, at least whatever the situation. I was already making up my mind, I won't see him again, whatever. Now he waited till we got on 3rd Mainland Bridge to casually tell me while speeding that China used to I used to be addicted. Sorry, I was like, I used to have a problem with drugs. I used to be addicted. I went to rehab and I'd not, I've been sober for a while. And I'm like, you say what? This is someone that is speeding on 3rd Mainland. It's like past 1 a.m. and I'm thinking, I've never been with someone who was high. I've never been with someone who was, using, or at least that I knew. So I didn't know how to act in this minute. And, he was blaming it on the fact that he relapsed because of all the whole divorce things that going on and, not being able to see his kids and yada, yada, yada. And then the empath in me, that stupid empath in me came out, and I started thinking, okay, you're going to handle this like you're handling a child, because I'm thinking safety first. So I'm like, trying to talk him down, he's high, everything. We get back to my place, I'm babying him and what have you. Now, I talk about the mirroring. Now, one thing people do not understand is that when someone is mirroring you, they're actually mirroring all those feelings you have inside of you back to you, and it kind of confuses you if you are unhealed and you think that, oh, that is love and what have you. Because at some point when I was taking care of him, he looked at me and it's like, he was doing the whole crying, he was having like a panic attack. I doubt it, he was acting. And the next thing he was like, why are you so kind to me? Why are you helping me? Why? And I'm like, because I love you. Yeah, I'm embarrassed too. I am, but I know I'm not the one that's been here before, so whatever. Anyways, I took care of him that night, that should have been, the next morning I should have thought about it, like, don't do this. But because it was someone I'd known for a very long time and he had really played the victim so well, and I really thought he had gone through some shit, so I was really feeling bad for him. And I'm like, what, I can't imagine what he's going through. I've never been married, I don't have kids, I don't know what that's like, you understand, And don't forget that this guy had been love bombing me in the beginning. I was acting like he had all that money, whereas nigga was broke as fuck, didn't even have a job. At some point I started taking care of us for no apparent reason, and now this is happening. In my head I'm even thinking like, it's later I'm thinking like, your thoughts is not how do I get money up, how do I get high and then fuck a stranger. Anyways, so that was a red flag I ignored. Let's move on to the last two so that I can end this. Now, number 10, red flag number 10 was lack of accountability. Now, we know that there is no narcissist alive that has ever been accountable. They do not know how to, unless those that have actually or actively, healing and reforming themselves. Narcissists do not know how to take accountability. I remember the day he was calling me out my name and all of that stuff. I think the week after he called me, said, we should meet up, that, he wants a truce. And then instead of him actually taking accountability for his behavior and all he did, instead he starts talking about how he's never seen his parents love themselves. So maybe that's why he doesn't really know what love is. That he should have never told me he loved me, because it's not as if he actually felt it. He was just going round and round. I was like, get the fuck out of my house, man. Like, I wasn't gonna have this anymore. Like, for me, that's the end. That's the last time I ever set my eyes on him. I did not care whatever happened to him going forward. And then months later, because that was 2024. 2025, he reaches out to me on one night like that, talking about he's feeling suicidal and he's on third Milan Bridge, and me, I'm thinking maybe you should just swerve right and end it all, but I didn't say it out loud. I thought it, and he was talking about coming to see me because I'm the only one who understands him and yada yada yada. And I'm like, hold up, nope, that's never gonna happen. I reminded him about everything. Even brought up the fact where he said that we should go fuck while I was in tears. I was going to go to your place to go fuck while I was in tears, and he laughed about it. It was funny to him. Not once did he take accountability for anything he did, but instead he was still looking for my empathy, for my help, for my energy. Hell to the fuck no. I did not allow that. And he's been trying to reach out to me on social media in multiple ways, multiple accounts, and I've blocked all of them. And if you're watching this, please stop. I'm not interested. There's nothing that's going to ever make me want to see you. I do not hate you, but I honestly don't wish you well. So it's best to avoid me, okay? And the final red flag is the DL behavior. If you know, you know. Most women that are dealt with narcissistic men know this. They have the DL spirit in them. They be freaking down low. So many times he made such suggestions, weird suggestions, especially when it came to that producer friend, he made so many, insinuations that even that person literally had to disappear from the dynamic because he was, fearful for his life. Like, is this guy trying to tear my butthole or something? There's always that behavior, and even though I saw these things, I still ignored it because I just thought he was joking. No, darling. Those men, because I know there are days he will sit down and be asking me, I don't know if I am gay. I don't know what it would be like to be with this guy. And I'm like, what the fuck are you asking me? I don't know. It got to a point I was like, if you want to find out, go find out. It's not my business. Like, are you struggling with your sexuality? Is this something you knew? Like, no, I'm just curious. No, they're not curious. Anybody who knows. I wasn't going to wait around to find out, actually, because after the day he tried to mess with my, mental and tried to, make me crazy, and I had to let it, nah. I ended it. Like, no, you are not going to run me mad. Not in this lifetime, not in the next, not forever. So those are the red flags that I noticed in my covert narcissistic ex that I ignored, and well, thank God that I decided that I needed to heal myself so that I never ever have to allow such again in my life. Because the truth is, the only reason we allow this kind of abuse in our life is because we haven't healed certain things in us that make us feel like we have to keep outsourcing our love, whereas the love that we are looking for on the outside is within us, and we're meant to embody it fully. Self-love, yes, I know that social media has turned it into this fad, but the reality of it is self-love is what makes you powerful, makes you dangerous, makes you unfuckwithable. Because when you love yourself, you know yourself, you accept yourself wholly, you embrace your inner child, you heal yourself, and you understand who the fuck you are, nobody can mess with you. You see the patterns within minutes. Thanks to this experience with this person, it really pushed me into loving myself, because I had to look myself in the mirror and ask myself, why or what is it in me that allowed me to think that this was the kind of love I deserved? And that was the turning point for me. I tell people all the time that in this life, you meet people who are either going to be a blessing or a lesson. And this was a lesson I definitely needed to learn. So I hope that this was able to help someone identify those around them. And, it's not just the, men, even women are covert narcissists. But the patterns are always the same. You just have to be able to clock it. And the minute you clock a pattern, you break it. You don't clock it and then continue making excuses for it. It just means you're not ready to grow. You're not ready to love yourself. But when you love yourself genuinely, wholeheartedly, and you see yourself and you see those patterns, you break it. Any form of manipulation, gaslighting, anything that just feels off, and you feel it in your solar plexus. You feel that, gut feeling. Because when you truly care, when it's real, when it's a soul-to-soul connection, you feel it in your heart. Oops, sorry, I hope I didn't hit that mic too hard. You feel it in your heart. But when it's not, you feel it in your gut, and that's a warning sign. So do not ignore your gut warning. Anyways, this has been the Big Ma experience with me, Big Ma, and we'll be spilling some tea. I might do this again to spill some other kind of tea. Let's just see. I don't know. I can't make any promises. But do not forget to keep glowing, growing, and loving you. I love you, but God loves you more.